Welcome to Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, with me, Gretta Chamberlain, Yvonne Kraeher, Leigh Stima, and the Realm of Beings. Shifting Impressions, which is one of the vehicles that supports the transmission of the Realm of Beings, is here to assist you in delving into your being by providing numerous topics and discussions for you to intake as you deepen your connection with your inner world. Shifting Impressions is here to assist you in strengthening yourself as you excavate to understand your true nature. Leigh, Yvonne, and myself, with the Realm of Beings, eagerly invite you to join us today and learn to shift your mindset, shift your thoughts, and shift your focus to recreate your life and produce a new you. Shifting Impressions starts now.
Good morning, Greta. Good morning, Jacob, our producer, and good morning, everybody out there. Thank you for being with us this morning on Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. I'm Yvonne, and again, I'm here with Greta, and today Leigh is not with us, but she's always with us every Friday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. And together we sit in conversation, discussing quotes that are downloaded through Greta, channeled through Greta, from the Realm of Beings. And we're here every Friday, like I said, at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. The term Realm of Beings, I know we talk about it in our opening every Friday, but I believe it's important to mention once again, we talk about like, what are the Realm of Beings? Where do we get these messages? What are they here to tell us? How can we learn from these? And how do the messages help us move through our life with grace and ease? And in bringing up these topics through the quotes, it gives us an opportunity to explore, for you to explore your life, for us to explore our lives in this physical world that we live in, and also our creation of reality. For example, we're here and we expected Leigh to be here, but she's not. So we're wondering, what did we create about this? And what did she create about not being here this morning? So in this episode, we will be discussing the quotation, "Fear nothing, especially death, because you are always in a state of living and dying simultaneously." So here we go. It's you and me, Greta, you and me, babe. Just you and me. Going to get started on this quote and going to talk about fear. We're going to talk about death. We're talking about the etheric body. We're going to talk about lateralities and this concept, this idea that may seem so foreign to people that are listening and that will be listening through the recordings, that they occur at the same time. How can that be? Why is that? How can death seems like it's the final stop, right? Doesn't it, for a lot of people, at least for me, the way I was brought up, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die. You know, your old people are going to die, sick people are going to die. And personally, in the last year, death has, I've experienced very closely and deeply in my own life. My mother transitioned in December, and then my sister, my oldest sister, transitioned last May, so a little over a year ago. So personally, I've had an opportunity to sit with those concepts and explore them, but I'd love to hear what you had to say about that, Greta.
First of all, what comes to me right away is that death is not real.
Mm-hmm.
We believe in it because a long time ago, when people saw a body in a stationary position or whatever position, and the body wasn't moving, and the people weren't
breathing any longer, or they had a fatal accident, and so the body stopped, the physical body. I want to make that clear. It's the physical body that stopped functioning. So they had to create some way of understanding what this whole thing was about. And so people eventually came up with the concept of death. Various religions, this is the way we're going to understand it. The person dies. Then the thing became, well, if the person dies, where do you go? So they didn't want it to be that you just go totally into oblivion. So then they created heaven, hell, and what's the one in between? Purgatory.
Purgatory. Yeah, that's the stopover place where you have to figure things out. And are you going to go to heaven or are you going to go to hell? Like, I'd rather go to purgatory than go to hell. So yeah, that would be like, I'll go there for a while.
Right. I've even had people that have made their transition, because I've worked with people who have went through the death process. So they would be in that state of transitioning and hold it and stop. And because you can do that, you can just hold and stop it. And I'm going to say what the stop it is. The stop it is the etheric body. And the etheric body has longitudinal and horizontal lines, vertical and horizontal. So if you think, those of you who are just listening, think of the shape of a body with nothing in it, just a shape. And then inside the shape are horizontal lines and vertical lines. A long time ago, I think one of the aspirin companies showed a humanoid shape. You couldn't tell if it was man or woman. It's very generic. And they had the horizontal and vertical lines. If those of you who can remember that can imagine what the etheric body looks like. And it could be the meridians that people talk about for Reiki, I think, and various other Oriental medicine. Its bottom line is it's the etheric body, regardless of what name. As soon as you start talking about a grid, it's etheric.
So I was going to say, so those, I'm like horizontal, vertical lines, like a grid. And are they energy lines? Like, does energy run through them? Is that how people, like a highway of energy? Or how would that exactly be explained, Greta?
Everything has an etheric body. Everything.
Like a plant, a leaf, a fruit.
Yes, because see, the etheric bodies are very important. And we have more than one, but I'm going to talk about the one that's connected to the physicality that we see. That is, everything that exists is energy. Everything is energy. And then we can track it back to saying everything being energy, that energy is the force. Okay, so how did because I've asked people, I said, okay, they were doing Reiki, they were doing other energy work. So I said, what is the energy that you're using to do this work? And different people give me different answers, I told them, I said, it's the force itself. The force itself is giving itself to itself, which is you, to create whatever you want to create, okay? So when the etheric body, one important part of the etheric body for everything is that it holds the energy in the shape of things that you want it to hold. In other words, if you have a plate, you've created the plate. So the etheric body is there to hold that energy as the plate that you've created. Let me say, as the plate that you have created. I wanted to repeat that twice, because everything you created, everything, your bed you sleep on, everything, okay? So without that etheric body, the energy goes, can't be held. So what happens with the etheric body, there are two ways that the etheric body can diminish itself. One way is that it fades. So when I look at somebody, if I know they decided to experience being very ill, then I can look at the etheric body and determine, okay, are they also checking out of here or are they remaining? If it's fading, I'll know that they are checking out. Okay. If it goes through a process of being dismembered, in other words, when I look at the etheric body, there might be an arm missing, or a head missing, or a leg missing, or a toe missing, or a finger. If any part of the etheric body is missing, then I also know that person's making their transition. So the etheric body has to completely disintegrate. Then the person has made their transition.
Does it just like that etheric body, once it's like not holding the space for the body or the plate or whatever, it, like you said, it dissolves and then it just like merges back? Like, what does that look like when it no longer holds the space of the body? Where does it go? What happens to it?
Because energy is energy. It goes in just being energy itself. Because
it's not contained energy anymore. It's merged with the energy all around then.
Yeah. Basically, as I know it at this point, because
at this point, we're always learning, right? Always learning, always trying to figure things out. So that person has decided probably ahead of time, I would guess, when they decided that all their lessons have been learned at this point and they want to transition. They want to go to, then what happens?
Well, see, all the things is that all the lessons haven't been learned.
Well, the lessons for like in this whatever you want to call it. People call it lifetime or this experience. I don't know what label you want to put on it, but there's like while they're here with their family and in home, in the job, whatever, they decide that it's time to transition, right? Like what makes them decide that? How does that happen?
To my knowledge at this point, when we are in the incarnate stage, this is before conception, we decide for humanoids, now I'm talking about only humanoids.
Right.
For humanoids, we decide basically by age. I'm going to die when I'm 92. I'm going to die when I'm 12 months old.
Okay.
So
like I said, it's pre-decided. It's not like, unless, okay, so there's something that also comes up too. Like, what if, there's been some tragic accidents and violent deaths where people are shot or murdered or just an accident. Like, are you saying that people decide ahead of time in the incarnate stage that when they're 52, that this accident is going to happen and that's when they're going to transition?
No.
Okay, so there's something a little different then. That's an exception to the rule.
The thing, well, it's really, I don't even know if it's a rule even, but
way of speaking.
You decide the age. Okay. Just like you decide what you want your physical body to look like, just like you decide who your parents are going to be, because the parents are the ones that assist you in coming into this experience. So sometimes the physical parents that you have, you're picking up their epigenetics, you're picking up their DNA, you're picking up things from them that are going to assist you in your how. Because in previous podcasts, we talked about that there are really two main questions: why and how. Why did I create this reality? And then you can even look at how did I create it? So it's a why and a how. The how is basically decisions that say, I want to die in an automobile accident. I want to die just laying in my bed and going to sleep. And you make that determination at the unconscious level. not the subconscious level, everybody, at the unconscious level.
Mhm.
So you create that reality. And then the person that, if there's another person involved with it, that person is going to assist you in making your transition.
Okay. All
You know?
right.
So it's a choice. It's always a choice.
Mhm.
It's like when we talked about abortions in one podcast, I mentioned that the child is an energy essence like you and I are.
Mhm.
So the child has, as an embryo, has as much energy as anyone else, and it is also creating its reality. So
Mhm.
it shows it won't only. I only want to be here 3 months. I only want to experience being physical for 3 months in that reality. So it
Mhm.
chooses a mother that is going to be in accord with that.
Mhm.
So she'll get pregnant, the baby will stay, and she'll say, "Oh, I think I want to abort." Okay, so, but get this, the baby, the embryo decides, does it want abortion, does it want miscarriage? It's going to decide which way it's going to go. That's the how.
Mhm.
Which way do you want to leave this reality?
Wow.
So
These questions are deep, 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 deep when you really go explore them. I mean, really deep.
but you know, it really, when you can understand the process, it gets rid of the fear. I've worked with so
Yeah.
many people, you know.
Actually, that's a good point because we're kind of going off on a little detour, which we normally do in our podcast. But
Right.
yeah, so we are getting ready to get to a first break, but let's get back to the quote, which is once again, excuse me, fear nothing, especially death, because you are always in a state. We are always in a state of living and dying simultaneously, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
So I think, you know, so far we've just talked about, and maybe when we get back, we can talk a little bit more about the process.
Yeah, let's do
What
that.
happens with that? Yeah.
Let's jump off to our break. We can regroup at that time and then come back and talk a little bit more, about these other concepts, these other ideas. So once again, we are shifting impressions, conversations with the realm of beings. I'm Yvonne. I'm here with Greta and most always Leigh, but Leigh's not here today, and the realm of beings. And we're on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stay with us as we jump off to our first break, and we will be back to talk more in segment 2. Thanks for listening. Welcome back to segment 2. I'm Yvonne. I'm here again with Greta, the realm of beings, and we're on Transformation Talk Radio every Friday. And our podcast is called Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings. Today we're taking apart the quote, fear nothing, especially death, because you're always in a state of living and dying simultaneously. So Greta, you had something to say right before we went on break. So why don't you continue with your thread and the fear of death? Why do people fear it? And what exactly is happening in this state of living and dying simultaneously? I want to know too, because this is a topic that I'm a little confused about. So,
well, you know, it's I'm trying to think of where I left off at, doggone it. We were talking, I think, about
we talked about the etheric body first and how it's like a series of grids, horizontal and vertical lines, and how it holds the space. And then when people decide, in the incarnate stage, even babies decide how long, at what age they want to transition. So we kind of covered all that. We're going to transition at a certain moment in this physical body, in this physical vehicle. So like, triggers that, and what, like that you explained the idea of death too, which I think was helpful too. It's a way to define what happens to the physical body after it becomes stiff and the breath stops working, the heart stops beating. So like people want to know, like, oh, what happens? Like, where there's got to be something else. Like, it makes life worth living, right? So
yeah, I think the worth living part is that we came here to experience growth. We came experiential. What the term I've been given is experiential evolution. So that the force can experience itself. So that's one reason why all of the wonderful entities that are around us, regardless, those that we can see and those that we can't. But back to death, one thing is that the person, the individual. Now, when I'm saying individual, I'm moving into anything. I'm moving into insects, I'm moving into trees, whatever. Makes the decision when it wants to exit. It makes that decision. And that's a how. Because everything is an energy essence. Everything is us as we are it. So there is no separation here. I want to review that with everybody. There is no separation. So consequently, that gives you the concept of that I'm living and dying simultaneously.
Yeah, that's what I want to go into deeper. That's pretty important to explore in segment 2 here. Like, we live and die simultaneously. Like, what does that look like? Like, how can people visualize that?
Some podcasts back, I drew a box of squares, and each square represents a laterality. That's what we're calling lateralities. Because see, there are no past lives. Many people, many religions believe in past lives, but there is no past life because there's no past. So in order to have a past life, you've got to have the past.
Right. That's kind of like the definition of time being on a linear,
right,
like on a timeline, and past, oh, we're in the present, we're right now in the middle, and the future is on the other side.
Right.
So that's the idea of being in a line. But if everything's happening simultaneously, it's more like you're on a circle. There's an infinite number of dots, or like in a sphere, there's an infinite number of possibilities, and everything's there at the same time.
Right. And not only that, but I want to take it a little bit deeper. Because when I know the people that can't hear us couldn't see you moving your hands.
Right.
Mine was moving her hands like in a circle, like. It's not so much that you have things on the circle, is as you have everything together. Everything together. There's no separation. So if I have one thing on the circle and then I put another thing on the circle, they're separate, aren't they?
Right.
Okay, so there's no separation now.
Okay.
So it can't be that we got one thing on this circle and then one thing, another dot on the same circle, and then another dot on the same circle. Then we're creating separation. So what we want to do is take the dots that Yvonne said and merge them together into one dot. Take those 3 dots, merge them into one dot. And that is what you would call time. Everything is happening simultaneously. We just don't know it because we can't. It was difficult for people many years ago to even begin to think like that. But actually, everything is one. Everything is going on simultaneously. Now, the lateralities, it's all one. Okay, it's all one with us. We just don't realize it because we keep the blinders on, because can you imagine being that the fact that we would connect with all universes that are in existence?
It feels a little too overwhelming to me. I feel like it's much safer to know, like, this is my little world. I live here in Pennsylvania, and got my little house, my little family, and that's all I, kind of experience. And when I choose to, I can go out of my little box and go into the city and explore there, or go on a trip. But it's like almost like, if you realized you're so expansive, what would you do with that?
You'd probably freak out.
Well, isn't that why we're here? We're here to open up people's.
We're here. Really, you know what? I keep saying that this is a fun house. I'm telling you. But
Greta's fun house. I feel like I'm at the carnival. Yeah.
Although last week, my experiences last week were quite challenging. And I'm going, oh my goodness, look what I created, But anyway, it was just interesting. I'll share that with another time. But when the etheric body dismembers itself or disintegrates, that person is making their transition. Some people have in books that you have a silver cord. Mm-hmm. They'll tell you, you'll read in the books that when the silver cord disintegrates, you've broken the connection between the etheric body and the physical body. And that is when the physical body will make its transition. However, I discovered that it's not the silver cord, it's the etheric body itself. The etheric body for the physical body has got to go through a process of change, because you can't kill energy. Energy is energy. Okay, so the energy then, as we talked about previously, it returns or just becomes part of the energy. Energy period, because everything is energy in the first place. So it's not the silver cord, it's that the etheric body itself leaves. Now you have other bodies. Other subtle bodies. I think we'll go into that later, because now you want to ask me, how do you die and live simultaneously?
Yeah, and we still didn't get to that answer yet. We haven't gotten there yet. I'm curious about that.
What that is that in the lateralities, in those squares, we're all one. So the energy will create what it wants us to look like, what kind of species. We make those decisions. So we're energy, so we're creating ourselves. So do we create other energies are there as well. And in the lateralities, that's why people think of past lives, and it's really not a past life. It's another individual, another energy essence. It may look exactly like you, but it's not you. But it's in another laterality. Maybe like you and I right now are in laterality number 15, but we have another Yvonne who's not called Yvonne. We have another Gretta who's not called Gretta, but the individuals have chosen to look like us, but they're sitting in laterality number 349. See, 349. I can also be sitting in any laterality, which goes into infinity. Think of just a piece of paper with squares on it. Now, how do you move in that laterality? You don't cross over unless it's a bleed through, but that's another thing. What happens is that you stay inside that laterality that you are aware of. When you transition, you will transition in that laterality, and you will go to the transitional portal. And you can go one step at a time. Like usually, in fact, I was teaching yesterday, and I was talking about that, I always do this, moving forward. I take my hand, you're moving forward. So you're over here at this transitional portal. And then when you're through with this transitional portal, you go to the next transitional portal. You see, I'm moving forward. You see what I'm saying? But it's not really a movement forward. It's really not. What you're doing is you're going deeper and deeper into self, because there's another part of you that you're probably not even aware of. It's the deepness. Some people might call it soul, spirit, whatever, but it's a deepness within self. So you're going deeper into self, because what's happening, you're learning lessons. The lessons that you have not learned here, you will take them with you to the next transitional portal and have an opportunity to learn those lessons. Okay, so now where'd the lessons come from? Let's go all the way back to incarnation stage. That was before conceptualization. And let's take it back prior to the incarnation stage. There you are an energy essence. You are definitely knowing I'm the force. You know all this. You understand it. So, but then you say, okay, I want to experience this. That's the force talking. I want to experience being I want to experience myself being in a different way. It's like putting on a dress. I want to experience wearing this red dress to the party. Then you come home and you take the red dress off. And then you say, now I'm going to experience putting my nightgown on and I'm going to bed. So you're putting a nightgown on. So it's like that. You're changing clothes. The realm, not the realm, but the force changes its clothes for it to have an experience. And we are providing the experience because we are it. Now that it's kind of goes around in a circle, but we are it, and we decided the lessons that we wanted back at that energy essence stage before we step in the incarnation stage, because at the incarnation stage, we have already forgotten that we are the force.
Yeah, how easily we forget, right? That's kind of really important. Let me ask you this, because something came up while you were talking. Like, say somebody transitioned and they're still haven't learned their lessons that they chose to learn, and they're wherever they are in the transitional portal, but like their loved ones are still left behind here. They're whoever.
But see, that's the thing, that not left behind.
Okay, well, they're still with them then. They're still
no, not like that either.
Okay, all right. Let me get to my question, then you can let me go. So, like, if we use that logic of create, support, create, say, for example, the person that transitioned did not completely experience all the lessons they chose to learn, are people around them still supporting that, in that they're helping them learn those lessons, even though they may not physically be here?
Okay, now we have to go into it. We have to segue.
All right. Well, we have only 2 minutes to do this, Gretta. So this is going to be speed segue.
We might have to wait till next week.
Let's try to get as much in as we can in 2 minutes before the next.
Because to the audience, we are discussing death and various aspects of death for the next 3 weeks. We're going to be dealing with that. So
good to mention.
We don't quite understand it. We'll be going back, reviewing it, and adding on new stuff. So don't feel, oh my God, I don't know if I can
missed it all. Yeah, I feel incomplete right now. So yeah, we'll get there.
Just go with the flow of it. What happens is that you, as the energy essence, committed to learn something. The force
Right.
committed to learn certain lessons. Now, when the energy essence moves to be the incarnate, then the incarnate chooses how it wants to learn the lesson. Remember, that's their important word. How. Now I'm incarnate and I've got to build my body. How do I build my body? I'm going to choose what body I want. What kind of body what kind of species do I want to be first? What do I want to be?
Mm-hmm.
So then if you decide I want to be humanoid, then what do you need? You need two people, a man and a woman, because there's no asexual reproduction here in the humanoid species, that are going to be your parents, that are going to, because of their framework, because of their cultural framework, their familial framework, their epigenetic, their genetics, that is going to help you develop the how.
Mm-hmm.
So the parents really are very important in this to formulate your how. So we have the lessons in the beginning as the energy essence. Then we become the incarnate and we make a lot of decisions. We build we want to know, how do I want to learn? Do I want to learn my lesson being a hawthorn? And a hawthorn, everybody, is another type of species, like being humanoid is a species, okay? I want to be a hawthorn, or I want to be a Pleiadian, or I want to be a Arcturian inside this laterality. So you got to decide what laterality you want to be in as well. Mm-hmm. There's so many decisions you make as an incarnate. But what's with you when you're doing that? You're given, you got to be able to think. So you're thinking. So that means you have your mental body. Mm-hmm. You have emotions attached to that, because if you look at these pre-birth stories on YouTube, there are people that are talking about, I knew I shouldn't have come here. I didn't want to come here. Okay, so that means you have an emotional body. So you have a mental body, you have an emotional body.
Besides the etheric body and besides the physical body.
You have, right, because you have to have an etheric
and
body.
They must all be talking to each other. They're all kind of working together in conjunction.
Always.
So Gretta, this is really fascinating material that I really am reluctant to stop this conversation with you right now. But if we don't, we will not have enough time to hear from the realm today. So I think what we should do is just take a pause here and pick up our conversation next week, because there really is, even in this quote, so much that we haven't even explored. So yeah, let's just again put the discussion on pause. We'll take a break here, and we'll come back. We'll hear from the realm, see what the realm has to say today, and stay tuned. We're on Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back, listeners. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Yvonne, and Gretta and I have been discussing the quote today, fear nothing, especially death, because you are always in a state of living and dying simultaneously. And the last two segments, we kind of moved from place to place. There's just so much here to talk about: fear, death, living, dying at the same time. These are concepts that people, I don't think, really take a moment to look deeply at. So I'm glad that we're here for at least an hour in this time frame, and exploring these concepts. And We've come back. Third segment is always a treat because we get to hear directly from the realm of being. So, Gretta, just wondering, are you there, realm? Are you with us?
Yes, we're all here.
We're all here. Great. So, what have you to say about everything that has been going on in the last 40 minutes or so? I'm curious what you've been noticing, what you've been thinking about and feeling into.
Well, we want people to realize that everybody and everything goes through what they call death. Everything and everybody goes through what you call death. Even myself, even us, we go at a point where we will leave this reality that we are existing in, and we will move into a transitional reality. So everything that is living and everything is living goes into a transitional portal or makes their transition. Now, some people call it, many people who belong to the Christian religion will refer, I'm going to heaven. If you want to call it heaven because that makes you feel good, then please do so. Then they have the opposite. I'm going to hell if I'm not a good person. Well, that total concept does not exist. Everyone goes to the transitional portal. For humanoids, Hitler is going to be in the same transitional portal with the Pope.
Ooh.
So it's not, because you must remember that everything is an energy essence. And the energy essence, we are all one. I and the others, we must speak through Gretta's physical body so that you can hear us. For those of you who are connected to us by way of your thoughts, we are coming through Gretta's body so that you can hear us. And I want to let you know that even though you hear one voice from Gretta, we are many, but we are one. That is why you hear the one voice out of Gretta's body. If we all spoke to you at the same time, you probably wouldn't even be able to understand. Sound like that. But
I feel like I'm tuning into a radio station and getting clarity. Like
yes,
that.
Yes, you can say that. But when we're talking to you, there's always more than one of us. In fact, we work as a group. We work as what you would call a team. So we come through Gretta as a team of one voice. Now, this thing, death, is not real. Fear it not. Fear it not. It's not real. You're going to move into your transitional portal where you're going to complete where the lessons you didn't complete in this one. So rest, be peaceful. You know, if you want to choose a death that is less nice, as you would call it, you know, some of you do that. Some people just decide that they're just going to lay down and sleep away. And that's okay too. In fact, if you think sleeping is better, then choose sleeping. Choose drowning in the Titanic. Don't choose, because you have the choice. Choose how you want to leave this experience and move to the next. Choose. If you're choosing peacefully, that's okay. We tell you that that is all right. If you've chosen for someone to shoot you, that's all right too. Because once the bullet hits in the appropriate place, you're gone. You're already, the etheric body is already gone. Whew. It knows it's going. You let it know. Now, Greta, we heard her say that she didn't want to go at, she was supposed to go at 82, somewhere between 82 and 85 or something like that. We heard her. And then she said, because we heard her talk, sometimes she talks to us, we heard her say, I'm not leaving yet. I'm going at between 97 and 100. So she changed. She changed when she wants to go. And you can do that. You can decide you don't want to, because you make the decision anyway, y'all. I like that, y'all. You make that decision anyway.
It feels so much lighter and easier to me now, like just knowing that we really do decide everything. So what's the worry about? What's there to fear? There's nothing to fear. Because like if we don't want to suffer, we don't have to suffer.
Absolutely.
Because if we choose a death of old age or instantaneous or falling asleep and not waking up in the same place again, then that's all within our control.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And there is no hell for those of you who believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you're to be punished, placing yourself in a place of punishment. Why would you want to do that?
Yeah, why? And people, maybe it just makes them feel better or tries to abide by certain codes while they're in their physical body. You know, if you're going to heaven, you're good, be a good girl or good boy. If not, you go to hell if you're bad. So it's like a behavioral thing or something. I don't know.
It's you're condemning yourselves.
Oh, is that what that is?
You're condemning. You're condemning your divinity. You're saying, I think I don't deserve to be in quote unquote heaven. Everyone deserves heaven. Because what you're dealing with are personalities. Hitler was and is a personality. Notice how we change was to is, because nothing ever dies.
Yeah, he's still very much alive.
Absolutely. He's learning his lessons. What lessons are you supposed to learn? That's what he's doing as we so speak. But I think next week, we don't want to put you have that saying, what is that thing? Put the cart before the horse.
Yes.
I like that, put the cart before the horse. But anyway, we don't want to do that. We'll take our time in developing this concept of death, which is an illusion to begin with. It is just another one of your illusions that you created to attempt to move through this experience, through this reality that you have created. Yes. Mm-hmm. And then for you to terminate. Yes. Yeah. Wait till next week. We got something for you next week.
Oh.
Yes.
excited to hear about that, Realm.
Yes. Because you see, you never die. You never die. Even though we said in the quote, I think, did it say in the quote, you go through death and life simultaneously? Well,
Yeah, you're
did
always
that.
in a state of living and dying simultaneously.
Yeah, we did that. We wrote it like that because humanoids believe in death.
Okay.
But you're never, ever dead. You've only lost your physical body. Humanoids have about 20 other bodies. 20 other subtle bodies, as they call them, of which the physical body is a subtle body.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have an etheric body for each one of the subtle bodies that you have. You have about 20 of them, close to 20, if not give or take. So you're always there. You are always there. You're never dead. What you perceive is death. Because you go to funerals, you go to wakes, you go to have other ceremonies, other other cultures have different ways of handling that illusion called death. You know.
Yeah, we got to get used to that that body, that physical person that we've spent so much of our time with not being around anymore, not being able to call them up or talk to them like we're talking together.
That's where we're coming next week.
Okay.
You think that the person, like you said, your mother and your sister, you feel that your mother and your sisters are not there.
Mm-hmm.
And they have already created you to be with them. While you are here, you are with them there. There's really no leaving anybody behind.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? It's an illusion. It's an illusion you have been left behind. But if you're able to see beyond what you see, you will know that you have never been left behind.
Once again, thanks for joining us at Shifting Impressions, Conversations with the Realm of Beings on TransformationTalkRadio.com. As you have explored today's creation of reality experience with Leigh, Yvonne, the Realm, and me, Gretta, each of you is being supported by us in further developing the understanding that you are not just an individual existing in linear time and space, but a multidimensional force of infinite possibilities who is connected to all. So begin to create the realities you want. Join us every Friday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time and 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Shifting Impressions at TransformationTalkRadio.com. So long until we create each other again next Friday.